Yes, yeah, be positive about it. Yes, of course we're brilliant. So that means I can ask you all the harder questions, right? Don't worry, you'll get to ask me questions at the end, okay? All right, so this is really cool. My name is Miss Lisa, and I'm going to teach your class today. And the class is known as Plants and Animals, Teamwork in Nature. It's mostly about plants. At the very end, I have an animal for you to touch, but we'll get through the plant stuff first, okay? And as I did with the other class, I think I'm going to kick it up a notch and ask you the tough questions. Don't be intimidated, though, because they knew most of the answers, okay? And the one thing that I like when I ask questions is it's okay if you get a wrong answer, okay? I'll take guesses, and any guess is valid, okay? I'll just kind of steer you whether it's right or wrong, okay? So there's no pressure, okay? This is not a test, you know. This is you're here to have a fun time and learn something, maybe. Okay, so I know you've learned a lot of things before, and one of the things that I'm going to talk about right off the bat is how important plants are. Raise your hand if you've heard that before. Plants are really, really, really important. Yeah, okay, we've all figured that out, right? We actually eat plants, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a sec. But plants can make food in their own body. Is that a familiar concept to you? Yeah. Oh, very good. Okay, so if you can make food in your own body, you are known as something. You're not a consumer, you're something else. Raise your hand if you'd like to try. Go ahead and try. An omnivore is a kind of consumer. I'm looking for something that's not the consumer, but you're on the right track. It's one of those vocabulary words. Go ahead and try.
A producer?
Yeah, a producer, okay? So if you can make food in your own body, you're a producer. And that is really, really cool because we can't do that, right? What are we?
Consumers.
We're people, we're consumers, and most of the time we're omnivores, right? I know that there are people that choose to be herbivores, but, you know, for the most part, people are designed to be omnivores, okay? Now, oh, yeah. This is the part where I'm not too sure you know the answer, but I think you might, okay? Have you heard of cells?
Yes.
I'm talking biology here, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Are you made of cells?
Yes.
Am I made of cells?
Yes.
Is a dog made of cells?
Yes.
Is a sunflower made of cells?
No.
Is a rock made out of cells?
No.
No, okay. So if you're made out of cells, all organic life, in other words, that's a definition of being alive, is you're an organic being of some sort or another, whether you're one cell or multicellular like us, okay, you're alive, right? So, going back to the plant thing, all right, now inside a cell, oh, can you see your cells?
No. Yeah.
No, not with your naked eyeballs. What would you need to see? What would you need to see in order to look at cells? Yeah. Someone I haven't heard from today. Yeah, try. A microscope, okay? So if you stuck some cells under a microscope, oh, have you ever done that before?
No.
You should try it. It's way cool, okay? If you look inside a cell isn't just this blobby circle. It's got a lot of stuff in it. And we won't go into detail on the stuff that's in it, but there is a lot of stuff inside a cell, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But the one thing that concerns me right now is the stuff that is in plant cells that turns them green, okay? That green stuff has a name, all right? It has a name. It's a pigment, and it makes things look green.
Who remembers it from first grade?
Oh, wait.
What's the green stuff called?
What's the green stuff called? Go and try.
Chlorophyll?
Yes, chlorophyll. All right, chlorophyll. All right, so chlorophyll is the stuff that's in plant cells that turns them green and allows them to do a chemical process in their body. This is how they make food in their own body, okay? A lot of times people don't realize it's a chemical process, though. What process am I talking about? How do plants take sunlight energy? I see you know. How do plants make sunlight energy and turn it into food in their bodies, within their cells?
What's that whole process called?
What is
Learned
the
it back in first
whole
grade.
process
Who
called?
remembers?
Something synthesis. Something. Oh my goodness. Okay. Photosynthesis. Yes. Have you guys studied your Greek and Latin root words?
No.
You should. You know why? Because because you guys are young yet. You're still going through school, okay? And in school, do you have to take a lot of tests?
Yes.
To get into college, do you have to take a lot of tests?
Yes.
Have you ever read a question before and found a word you didn't know what it meant?
Yes.
That still happens to me, okay? But if you know your Greek and Latin root words, you can kind of figure it out. And if you can kind of figure it out, you can make a better guess. If you can make a better guess, that's better than nothing at all, right? Okay, so it might get you that question right if you were to figure it out. Well, let's take photosynthesis. Photo means something. Anybody want to guess what photo means? And it's not a snapshot with a camera. I know. Oh, you must be a fellow biologist, huh? Okay. What does photo mean? What does photo mean? You need it for a camera. Okay, all right, fine.
It means light.
It means light, precisely, okay? Synthesis also means something. Synthesis, okay? Synthesis, let me have you try.
Process.
It's a process. It's a process that is it's a building process, a making process. So building or making, okay? So that's what synthesis means, okay? So photosynthesis means building using light, okay? So that's what photosynthesis means. And it's a chemical process, all right? How many of you have studied chemical equations? You're going to love it, okay? In fact, I have a chemical equation for you right here. Okay. Oh, yeah, that stuff, okay? When you talk about things that go on within cells, it's all about chemistry, okay? And living things and non-living things deal with chemistry. Chemistry is a part of everyday life, okay? The things you wear, the things you eat, the things that, everything has to do with chemistry in one form or another. So maybe one of you guys will grow up to be a brilliant biochemist someday, or an industrial chemist and make something really new and cool and important, okay? So this is the chemical process known as photosynthesis. Now we're going to start with some ingredients. Have you all heard all of your life? Yes, plants need sunlight, they need water, they need air.
Yes.
You've heard that? Well, this is why they need it, because they are doing a chemical process called in order to make food in their own body, because they are and the only way they can do that is they have that helps them do this chemical process. We're going to start with water. Have you seen H2O before?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the chemical code for water. Yeah, chemistry is kind of like secret code, okay? So the code word for H is hydrogen. And how many?
2.
And the O is code for
Oxygen.
So 2 hydrogens bonded together with an oxygen makes a molecule of
Water.
Okay. And then we're going to add to that a component that's in the air. You've
CO2.
heard of this.
Carbon dioxide.
You have heard of it, right?
Yes.
I know you probably heard of it in terms of global warming, and too much of it is a bad thing. However, plants do need it, because without this in the chemical equation, they cannot do photosynthesis, okay? So it's actually a lot more complicated than that. We won't go into the Krebs cycle, grown-ups, okay? So carbon dioxide, if you decode this, the C stands for and the O stands for
Oxygen.
How many?
2.
Bonded together, they form a molecule of carbon dioxide. Now, we did talk about the light energy. The light energy is actually going to be converted into chemical energy, okay? Now, at the other end of a chemical process, you have all your ingredients. The process happens, and it yields or makes. That's what the arrow stands for, okay? Yields or makes the food. You know what that food is called?
Sugar, water.
Sugar. Technically, it's glucose, but anyway, sugar, okay? And sugar is, it has a chemical makeup too, okay?
C6H12O6.
O6. Yeah. Now we're talking. Woohoo! I love it. Okay. And then sometimes there's stuff left over that you don't really need for the reaction. That's waste products.
Oxygen.
You know what it is? Oxygen. Very good. How many?
2.
Yeah, that's diatomic oxygen, and we breathe that stuff. So the stuff that plants don't need, we can use. Okay, here's one for you that I didn't ask the other class. Nutrition is a cellular process and it has chemistry attached to it too. But the bottom line is when we breathe in, we need oxygen. When we breathe out, we give off
Carbon dioxide.
Oh, plants need
Carbon dioxide.
At the end of photosynthesis, it gives
Oxygen.
Pretty cool, huh? All right, so things kind of get recycled. That's really neat. Okay, so enough about that. Oh, yeah. Here's something that I want to talk about. Okay, we are talking about plants, right? Okay, there's two main kinds, okay? There's plants without flowers. You've seen things like pine trees?
Yes.
You've seen things like ferns?
Yes.
Do they have flowers?
No.
They may have cones, okay? They may have spores, but they're not going to have flowers. Then there is plants with flowers, and you know, you've seen things like this, right?
Yeah.
State flower, you know what that is, right? Dogwood, yeah, there you go. Okay, so if plants without flowers comprises 10% of all the living plants on the planet, what's the percentage of plants with flowers?
90.
90%, very good, 90%. Woohoo! Now, since plants with flowers, that's kind of an overwhelming amount of species. There's about 25, I can't remember, between 25 and 27,000 species of plant. 90% of that is plants with flowers. So we're not going to talk too much about plants without flowers. We're going to talk mostly about plants with flowers, okay? Plants with flowers is what we're going to talk about most. Okay. Dude, that rocks. Ah, love it. Okay, so remember we talked about that whole kind of plant thing and how they're important and then the producers and we just went over that. Okay, so we are not producers, we are consumers. Okay, very good. Now, when you consider what we consume, remember all those like thousands and thousands of species of plants that we just talked about? Out of the flowering plants, there's going to be 3 that produce all of 1/3 of the calories that people eat. Oh, you know what a calorie is, right?
Yes.
It's a measurement of energy.
Yes.
So like if you look on a box of cereal and it says there's 120 calories in this half a cup of cereal, that's kind of like a count of energy. Okay, it's a little more complicated than that, but basically that's what it is, okay? So we need that energy to stay alive and move and do stuff and breathe and everything, okay? So if we consider wheat and
Corn.
and
Rice.
those 3 kinds of plants out of all those thousands make up 1/3 of all the calories that people, like 7 billion of us, consume on the planet. So what would happen if like something happened to the rice plants?
You would die.
Yeah, about half the world would probably die, okay? So sad and bad things would happen, okay? But we really, really, really rely on plants being producers to keep us alive, okay? Now, in order for plants to keep on being plants, okay, well, let's back up. We're going to talk about some things here, okay? Oh, we're going to do this the fun way. All right, okay. I need a volunteer to come up. Wait. You got to hear me out. Because, yeah, you're going to learn to, like, see what it is you're volunteering for before you actually raise your hand. But, I'm going to have this person come up here and I'm going to dress you up and you're going to be real goofy looking. So please don't embarrass easy. You know, I did this to one kid. They didn't really know what they were doing and they, you know, they big alligator tears and it wasn't a pretty scene. So you can't embarrass easy. Okay, so you have to really want to do this. Okay, now you can raise your hands if you really want to do it.
Simone.
Which one?
Simone.
Okay, come on up. Okay, right here. Okay. Now I'm going to kind of make you a composite plant. In other words, you're going to be kind of a goofy looking plant that really is kind of imaginary. But it's going to have all the correct parts. Clown plant. Okay, so stay facing your audience. Okay. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to give you, this part of the plant sucks up water and nutrients from the soil. It is, tell me? Okay, so we're going to give you root boots, okay? Alright, these are just going to go on your ankles. See how I'm putting them on top of your shoe? So, I know, so just set it on top of your feet there. Okay, so you have roots. Okay, so you have roots. Yeah.